Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, August 12th. On the impact map, a mixture of both critically strong winds and low humidity, areas in the orange through here, Nevada into parts of Idaho, as well as our southern areas of Utah, adjacent Nevada, parts of the Arizona Strip, and also a mixture of dry and wet lightning. First batch up into our eastern areas, and still scattering across parts of western Idaho. So I have to watch that for ignitions, and some of this wind is overlaying lightning that we had previously in the last 24 hours. Tomorrow, the wind threat continues in northern areas as well as the Sierra front. Again, some of those areas did have lightning, and another area of moisture to be watched for some dry lightning in our far southern areas. That southern threat continues on Friday, even expanding a bit into Nevada. Another surge of mixed wet and dry lightning across the high Sierra. On the right-hand side, lightning yesterday, you can see those strikes closest to the California border were the more concentrated ones, but we had scatterings all the way to the Utah border. Again, I'll have to watch these. These are a mix of wet and dry. You can see the precipitation was a bit wetter as you head further westwards, but again, the heat and the wind could bring some of those out for new starts. Overall, light initial attack with new starts in the red, but plenty of existing fires in the yellow, large fires in the open circles. Besides the past 24 hours, in the past 7 days, it has been quite dry. You can see barely any precipitation on the map. Right-hand side, much of that area, 0 to 10% of normal precipitation for the same 7-day period this time of year. And that is why our ERCs are so critically dry in the 97th percentile to records, where you see the purple shades, dry strip right here going across central areas of our geographic area, but still critically dry, 90th to even 96th percentile, the dark red down in our southern areas, which typically get monsooned out this time of year, and you see the dryness creeping northwards. A lot of those red circles, 80th to 90th percentiles, making their way up into the higher terrain of Idaho and even into parts of western Wyoming. 100-hour fuels as dry as they get in this red area through here, below 5%, and just a shade above that, but single digits everywhere else further north. Satellite imagery shows deep low pressure over southern Canada, creating strong zonal flow, really disrupting any monsoonal flow. That's why our southern areas are so dry. See some moisture lingering here across parts of eastern Idaho, western Wyoming. That'll be one lightning threat. Another front coming through, most of it going to our north, but that could trigger some lightning in some western areas of Idaho as well. So for today, we have high risk for wind across a broad area, southern Idaho, much of Nevada, and Utah and the Arizona Strip. Still a lightning threat further east. On the left-hand side, you can see some of that moisture across our eastern areas, and another front, stronger one, coming through from the northwest. But that dry tongue of air with those winds in areas that did have recent lightning is something we'll have to watch for new starts getting carried. You can see here on the left-hand side, strongest winds in the orange to purple shades, gusts to 30 to 35. Here in Nevada, parts of Idaho, as well as a good chunk of Utah and the Arizona Strip. And on the right, still some blips of moisture, where we have some isolated thunderstorm threats, mainly during the early afternoon hours. Dry, single-digit humidity down south and in the teens further north. Thursday, that moisture threat in the north moves away, but you see some subtropical moisture, or the remnants of the monsoon, tipping into parts of our extreme southern areas in Utah and the Arizona Strip, and maybe southern Nevada. We do have high risk for those areas. Still a wind threat further north, where you see is tight packing the height lines on the left-hand side. So there are those winds, and some of those winds could gust to over 40 miles per hour across parts of the Snake River Plain. Even in some areas almost as gusty a bit further south, and breezy, at least moderately breezy further south. On the right-hand side, we don't see much precipitation reaching the ground through here. There's some stuff near the Mogollon Rim, but with that moisture coming in, we could see lightning with almost no rainfall down south, so it wouldn't take much strikes to get things going down there. Humidity dry. It may come up into the low teens just because of the cloud cover, but they've been so dry for so long. Otherwise, single digits to teens. There's our lightning threat for Friday. You can see it expanding across our southern areas just a little bit. And you can see why that moisture kind of strung out across southern Utah, spreading westwards, and even some activity across central and eastern and western Nevada. But this might be a little bit further wetter over areas that were just barely moistened up initially. Very light winds through here on the left-hand side. Winds really diminishing, but you can see that precipitation just a few hundredths of an inch, this gray shade through here across our south and again across western Nevada. Humidity levels down south, dry, in the single digits to low teens, and then low to mid-teens further northwards. 3-day precipitation totals expected, not too much. Further down the road, Saturday, Four Corners high pressure starts getting going through here. We don't see the tannish shade anymore, more that dark shade, which means there's enough moisture to trigger isolated thunderstorms just about everywhere, but best areas will be in these green areas, bone dry in all of our PSAs. On Sunday, the new model runs are indicating a deeper plume of monsoonal moisture. This actually coming out of Baja and into California and western Nevada. And then on Monday, really deepening across parts of Nevada and Idaho into Tuesday. And you can see on the right-hand side, if we do get some of that moisture, and the models are still differing at this point, we could see some PSAs briefly get a little bit more moist and see that fire potential go down just a little bit. At this point, looking a mix of wet and dry, but maybe more wet at this point, but we'll have to continue monitoring the situation. Large-scale precipitation guidance suggests very little precipitation, but the newest model guidance does suggest maybe 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in some areas, which would indicate moistening up a little bit. So I'll have to wait and see on that. Otherwise, the 8 to 14-day outlook shows much above normal temperature, especially across our southern central areas. And then normal precipitation, which is not much for western areas, drier than normal across the eastern and northern portions of the Great Basin. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.